The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. We are back. A momentary break after our watch-along of the Southampton Newcastle game.
We've eaten Chris.
Chris is gone. He's gone to book his Airbnb.
It's delicious.
Yes.
But we are getting slightly ahead of ourselves. So, spoiler alert for anybody that missed the game. Decker,
Surely no
take
one's
it away.
watching this having not.
Oh. Well, won you now. Get in, man. Well, does this feel the most important win of the season so far?
I don't know about important. It feels the nicest. I think of just gives us that nice glow
I
inside.
don't know if it's either, to be honest with you. But then I'm trying to think of a more important win, and it's kind of, we've had that many wins, which is nice. It's hard to,
You're right.
it's hard to kind of finger one as being the kind of the most important or the nicest. That was particularly pleasant night. After that was the ebb and flow of kind of having a goal disallowed, and then the chances were missed, and then they were on top for a long time, where for 15-20 minutes. Southampton played well again tonight, I thought. But yeah, and then to get the goal the way they got it with the substitutes, and then they have goal disallowed. It was a roller coaster. That
It was a real,
There was a lot
real cup tie, wasn't it?
it was, yeah.
You know, one of those where we've seen it end to end, both teams getting lots of chances. A little bit of controversy as well during the game. But we will get onto that and talk all about those moments during the match. But before we do so, there's lots and lots of you watching at home. So please do like the video. If you do and don't already do so, hit that notification button, because then you'll know when we go live. Just like we are now.
We are.
We're live. So, Bestie, you just said it at the end of the watch along there. It's half time. What a first half that was.
It was. If the second half's out like that, then I'm going to be knackered.
Are you liking the video there?
Yeah.
I'll do it. Sorry, apologise.
No. But I was doing it while I was talking. I'm that good. I'm an old hand at this now. But yeah, it is. And I mean, I think that's what we've got to remember. Southampton on bad. They lost in quite similar circumstances. Actually, lost to Villa through the. Well, that's me. Southampton lost to Villa the weekend. They had the goal disallowed, the Ward-Prowse one, and then Villa went and scored afterwards. So not identical situation, but they're not, for the team that are bottom of the Premier League at the minute. They're in a pretty decent run of kind of form by their own standards of the season, and it wasn't like they were there for the taking. Having said that, the chances that Newcastle missed, and I'm not necessarily saying like the early Willock one that he put over the top, stuff like the Joelinton one that he put over from 3-4 yards out, and I think the second Willock one, when the ball comes to him, he kind of gets behind it a little bit and puts it. Those are chances that could have been 3 or 4, 5-0 if the Joelinton one in the first half isn't disallowed. I mean, it's all if
Me, Anthony.
But well, yeah, that was it was a very tense game. When we've been saying this for about a month now, without a little bit more quality in that final third, it needn't have been.
Sorry,
but that, as the words fell from your mouth there, it felt like criticism, and I didn't mean to. I didn't want it to be a negative. I was saying it was a great result. Job isn't done yet for me. It's
definitely
that second leg at home.
Totally right.
Southampton know what they've got to do. They know that they're capable of putting under pressure. This effectively scored tonight. It was.
Can them win 2-0?
They can win 1-0 and beat on penalties.
He comes with the right. No, you come. Yeah, listen.
There's a lot.
I thought I'd give you an ace there, and you just come back with your forearm and was like, "Near bother."
There's a lot of football, but last night on the kind of Monday night podcast that we do, I said I'll take 1-0. I would have taken 1-0 defeat. I wouldn't have been over the moon, but I would have been confident that we could have turned a 1-0 defeat into a win at home. I think we can turn a 1-0 win into a
demolition.
We're capable. We are capable of doing it. Like,
This is it, man.
Dick, I'm getting carried away again as
I apologise.
usual.
I've had 6 Guinness. I apologise, but listen, this went almost perfectly, right? In a sense, like the performance itself was a bit. I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here a little bit, but I've tried to be positive and tried to say I'm not concerned about we're not scoring goals and all the rest of it, but that performance there, it was reminding us of what I've seen before. That we're pressing really well, we're working the ball really well, we're having moments in games that are great, but we're not able to take the chances. You talk about Willock's chance, you talk about Joelinton's. God almighty, Joelinton's in the second half was a really big chance. And how long can you keep playing games and going, it's okay, we did really well, we got in great areas, it's fine, it's all right.
But Eddie Howe would combat that with saying, at least we're creating the chances, at least we're getting ourselves into that position, that you're giving yourself that half a chance. Yes, as we've spoke about, we had a lot of chances, throughout the game.
We did, yeah.
On a different night, a different game. Some of those go in for us. So,
Eddie Howe would say that, but he would also be frustrated that we haven't put one of the good chances away. The Joelinton one's the one that sticks out in my mind, the left-footed one. The same as he would have been at Palace with a Wilson header that didn't go in, at Wednesday away, Isaac's header, the chance he had. So Eddie Howe will say in his press conference, he will say to the players, I'm very happy with how we're playing, we're controlling the ball very well. For 70 minutes, maybe 65 minutes tonight, that's exactly what happened. But he will be thinking, he'll not be sitting there going, oh, that was great, there's nothing wrong with that. The nature of the man, he's looking to kind of improve, he's looking to see what else can I squeeze out of this team. And at the minute, the finishing, it doesn't feel like we've just won 1-0 in the Cup semi-final, and I'm talking like this, to be honest with you.
I know.
But at the minute, the finishing is the biggest cause for concern, I think. The rest of they were a bit loose at times, but Southampton pressed them high very well as well. Southampton were fit. You could see they were starting to get ragged towards the end. They had the man sent off, obviously. A few passes started to go out. Newcastle had their chances. Saint-Maximin made a big difference when he came on. Isaac made a massive difference when he came on, obviously, for the goal. And that when you've got a Southampton full-back, let's say the left-back, because he's the one that got turned for the goal. He's had to deal with Miguel Almiron for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, like, wow, he's
Who
gone
I
off.
thought was excellent.
He was really good tonight.
very good.
And then he's gone off and he's got, oh no, I've got to mark him now. And Murphy's a handful as well.
I think, with Isak, like everyone always says about Saint-Maximin that, oh, nobody knows what he's going to do. If I can be honest, I feel a little bit like that about Isak.
Yeah,
like I feel if you're a fullback playing against Almiron, you know what your night's going to be.
Yeah.
Right? And listen, Almiron was magnificent. I thought he played really, really well.
He was excellent.
Working hard. God almighty, bless him. He runs himself into the ground, doesn't he? But Isak, like,
he's an unknown, isn't he? Because obviously
isn't he?
he's came in fresh to the country.
Uh-huh.
We know what in his first game, Liverpool, what he did down there. Obviously, then went and picked up the injury, so we haven't seen him for a long time. So he's an unknown, not just to us, but to a lot of the teams that we're coming up against.
Yeah. And I think, like, listen, I sat here last night, only 24 hours ago, and said, stand by Wilson, and I will, because I try my best to defend a striker. I was telling you, I was in the car on the way here.
That's right.
I'll try my best to defend a striker, and I always will. But Isak, like, when he came on, like, when if Wilson was out wide there, and I hate saying this because it feels like I want to drop Wilson. I don't. But that was a wonderful bit of a turn, wasn't it? What a wonderful moment.
Fantastic.
It was absolutely
Fantastic.
the way he pulled the defender in there, he was the change of pace.
It was unbelievable. He's so fast, isn't he?
It kind of feels to me that we're getting towards the point where Isaac's becoming the... Yeah. It's that when Bruno first signed, and obviously Isaac's been here for longer, he's had his injury and had the World Cup and whatnot.
Does it hurt you to say that, though? Does it?
No, not at all. I love Callum Wilson.
I know,
I still think... I think if Isaac does kind of become our first choice centre forward, I don't think that means it's the end for Callum Wilson. He's still,
I understand.
He's certainly got a part to play. I think he's got a big part to play in Newcastle over the next few years because I like him a lot. He's a great striker. But Isaac, it feels like we're getting towards that point now where you kind of like, he's playing that well. off the bench. He did really well against Fulham. Scored against Fulham.
Yeah.
He's made that goal tonight where you think, well, for how much longer do we need to kind of treat him with kid gloves? So we just let him go and...
You kind of understand why you've paid as much as you have.
Yeah.
There's glimpses in games. And I spoke about this before. I know me and him argue, and it's a little bit of it's in jest, but like, well, some of it is. But like...
Certainly one way.
Honestly, I've said this for a while now, right, about quality at that end of the field.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel that 60 to 70% of people look at the argument of hard work. Oh, you've got to work hard, you've got to track back, you've got to press. I think sometimes you've got to have quality at that end of the field.
Yeah,
and I feel we had moments in that game where we didn't have it, but ultimately we had a moment or moments where we really had it.
I think you've got to have the right balance between the two, haven't you? You've got to have... You couldn't just have, like, these days, Ginola comes to mind.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Just kind of hanging around, trying to bomb on. You've got to have a bit of both. You are going to sacrifice... It's the nature of the beast with a flair player. And this isn't Isaac that I'm thinking of, by the way, here. You are going to sacrifice to get that top-level player, someone who probably isn't going to be as hard a worker. Miggy, for a long time, was all bluster with very little end product.
Yeah.
Now he's kind of... This season he's been excellent end product-wise, but he's retained that hard work.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And he's quite a rare player in that regard because he gives you everything the other way. But in fairness to him, he could have had a couple of assists tonight. No fault of his own. He's done the hard work, and it's just unfortunately the other guy's missed.
It's felt, yeah. You mentioned Ryan Fraser last night, and he was hard work. And last week he got the results. Last season he got the results for that. You know, we had that run of good games from Leeds to Arsenal last game of the season, where Fraser really, you could say he was really knuckling down. Was like, oh yeah, well he's finally turned up. Hasn't happened this season for him, but yeah, I think. It's that there was a point that was made a match of the day at the weekend about Sean Longstaff saying, well, you've got this bloke running 13.5 kilometres. Technically, he's not a bad player technically by any stretch, Sean Longstaff. There are players, you look at like Tielemans, look at like players who are centre midfielders who have maybe got a nicer touch, better vision, better range of passing, better finishers. There are many. But when you sacrifice what he does, it's got to be something pretty exceptional to kind of make amends for that.
But no, true. I just don't think Longstaff will be in Man City's team. I just feel.
Oh no, he certainly wouldn't be.
I just think quality will win.
It will, but then
quality will win.
By the same token, that quality isn't kind of God given. It's it's work hard for
it. Yeah, of course. You don't want 9 Ginolas. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
He's another one. I mean, even in the comments in the chat there, Longstaff is dividing opinions as he does, with fans. Yeah. We spoke about it last night on the podcast with some people saying that he played well, he did the job that he needed to do. Others saying that he was woeful.
He's better off the ball than on the ball. I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's the argument around the position side of things as well. A comment around potentially could we play Longstaff deeper and in that 6, which allows Bruno to get more into those advanced positions where we know last season he caused a lot of damage. Longstaff's final third, we saw the chance he had early on, which was a nice start of the game as well, where he skies it. He just tries to play it with the side of his foot, and he just doesn't connect. I think with it.
Let's think about. So obviously, I think the question there was about Longstaff playing in Bruno's position. Is that correct?
Yeah,
is that what it kind of was?
Yeah, Chris is saying the same. So Longstaff plays better in that deeper role.
So this is where I'll disagree slightly. Look at the amount of times Bruno's under pressure tonight. How many times did we comment and go, Jesus Lord, there's people on him?
Straight away, yeah.
Longstaff does not have the technical ability to handle that. He doesn't.
Bruno's got the calmness on the ball when he's under pressure.
Bruno, I'll jump forward for a second and I'll come back. Bruno got player of the match tonight, and I disagree with that totally, right? In my opinion. That's just my opinion. I didn't think he was the best player on the pitch by any stretch. He gave the ball away countless times.
Yeah.
Countless times. But I think a lot of that was due to Southampton pressing. And I don't think Longstaff's technically good enough to command the ball or receive the ball in them areas of the field, because I feel he'll lose the ball there. I really do. I think with Longstaff, he's very much he works incredibly hard. We've talked about the amount of ground he covers, and he does. I think what highlights with him sometimes is that final thing. Let's stretch that a second, actually. Think of the first 3 minutes. It was Longstaff 100% that drilled a beautiful ball between defence and goalkeeper. Yeah. But there was just no one there. That was a beautiful ball in. So there's no question. Look at the Fulham goal. Who put the cross in?
That's right.
It was Longstaff. There's no question Longstaff has it, but I still think sometimes the misses he does or the perhaps bad pass he does is highlighted more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
do you know what I mean?
I think we talked about this last week. Yeah, where he gets a bit. The people's kind of fuse with Longstaff isn't as short as it can be with other players at times. But
I feel Bruno give the ball away more than Longstaff tonight. I really do. The amount of times I say, God, he's giving it away again.
It felt like, but then there were times when you look at the stats at the end of the game and Bruno's,
I know.
by all metrics, has had a very, very good game. But he has, because we notice it, because we think, well, he's Bruno, he's not going to make, And I don't think he played badly by any stretch. But I thought Miggy, or maybe Nick Pope was man of the match, or Pope was excellent tonight.
Yeah, there's a shout for that from Pricey in the comments as well. He's got Nick Pope as man of the match.
I still think Shea for a good half hour, I thought Shea was the best player on the pitch. I thought
superb.
Shea was brilliant. But sometimes defensive players don't get as much glory as perhaps they deserve, maybe sometimes. But,
It's quite ironic, really, that we're sitting here halfway through a semi-final in the League Cup with a 1-0 win.
Excuse me, sorry, lads.
We're looking at the performance there, and
quite negative, right?
we're
we're
still looking at that and picking, I don't want to say fault, but things where we could have been been better. And I don't think it's from a being negative about it. It's just because we're looking for that.
Yeah.
We know what these lads are capable of doing.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the continuation of the performances from the last few games. We said a few times during the game there, this is a lot like Palace at the weekend. And it felt really similar to it. And that was similar to Leeds a few weeks ago not Arsenal, because that was a different kind of game. But it kind of felt like one of those games where, and again, for all I'm saying, Pope did have a great game. The disallowed goal notwithstanding, there wasn't a chance where I thought, I know there was actually Adams shot that I thought Adams should have done far better, but Pope stayed with his foot.
Yeah.
There wasn't a great deal of chances where I thought, they're scoring here.
Yeah, I think just to reference what Mark said there about, I think sometimes it's tough for us because we are observing the game like an autopsy. It's like we are literally dissecting the game. And sometimes it might come across negative because there is moments in the game where we could have done better.
Yeah.
There's no question of that.
Well, we said during the game that with the chances that we had, that we could have easily have been, going in 4, 5, 6 up. We could have put to bed.
Especially with the last 10 minutes when we were just absolutely battered them.
Yeah, well,
after the red card and the goal.
The first 3 minutes of the game. If we go right back to the start, you've got Willock's chance where Southampton are wide open within the opening minute of the game, which I thought was mental. And Willock has that chance where it does bobble.
Yeah.
And he blasts it over with his left foot. I think me and Mark agreed for once that he should have maybe took a touch and perhaps drove more towards goal. And that's a huge chance. You've then got Willock's chance that comes towards the back post from a great move on the right, which it normally tends to be. Blasts it over the bar. Yeah. They're two huge chances in the game. Massive chances. In that. I mean, how can you not talk negatively about that? But again, that's why I think I said it many, many times during that game was it felt like the Palace game where we are definitely the better side. We're playing some lovely, lovely football, but there's just not that cutting edge.
Yeah.
And you're always worried, aren't you? You're going to get hit. You're always worried that opportunity is going to come for them. And that was a little bit of the concern I had as the game went on.
It seems mad that when we haven't conceded a goal in as long as we have thinking, it's going to happen here. And look, that goal got disallowed tonight, the VAR one, and rightly so, fortunately so, but it was right as well.
Yeah.
But
well, speaking of that, obviously before their goal was looked at by VAR, we had the Joelinton incident with
just before half time,
putting it in the back of the net.
We obviously it's fair to say we should talk about what we thought it was at first.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair comment to say.
I think obviously at the time we all go crazy. Bestie as usual's just sat there taking it all in. I obviously don't know how you do it.
He's so calm, isn't he?
You're just so passive to it. It's mad.
I'm not passive. I'm doing backflips inside.
I was up there chewing the shelf. I was.
No, I'm just.
But can you believe that is disallowed?
It's very, very unlucky to be disallowed. It's certainly less of a clear handball than the Armstrong one in the second half. But again, we were looking at during the game thinking, well, he's given a foul against Wilson.
Yeah, that's the point I was
making. The lad was on the deck, and the referee comes over and he kind of disallows us. So we think, oh, well, it's a foul. And when you look at it, Wilson's played the ball, he's had a shot and the lad's blocked it, and the follow through's just, and it's one of those ones. But for all the replays that are shown during the game at half time about this apparent handball of Joelinton, I still don't know whether or not. I think if the I was going to say I think if the goal got given, they wouldn't, but the goal was given to start with. They disallowed it.
Yeah, I think it's a real tough one, isn't it? Because
was it VAR or did he just?
No, the referee.
Yeah, so the referee ruled it out as not being a goal, and what VAR have said is that there was enough evidence to overturn the referee's decision.
So the referee's overturned his own decision, sort of, at the start of it. Because the goal was given, wasn't it, to start with? I
think he.
I got a thing on my phone to say 1-0 Newcastle Joelinton, then correction.
No, I don't think. I think the referee has said it was a handball. But I think to reference what I was meaning is that I personally, when I watched, I thought they were trying to say Wilson had fouled the player. And we were like, what the hell? Like, he's done that wrong.
It wasn't clear, was it, from obviously the time we're all celebrating? You couldn't see it. Even on the replays, when we're watching it back, we're looking at the challenge between Wilson and the defender on the line, looking for that, because
we're shouting them over.
That's been pulled back for. So it's not until we get some comments in the chat and get what you're listening into the commentary that we discover that they're looking at it for the handball, because it didn't actually go to the VAR and start showing you that side of it until a little bit later, Decker.
Yeah.
Well, again, my annoyance is like, listen, I don't really want to get other teams involved, but I feel like other teams, if that decision had happened against them, that VAR decision would have took a lot longer. And I personally, in real time, I felt it was almost immediately, it's been checked, it's not a goal. And I'm thinking, what? Like, you're talking at half time here. We're taking 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Watching replay after replay after replay. And we're still not really sure if it's handball or not. And I felt VAR was in within 30 seconds. Nah, it's handball.
Disallowed.
Disallowed. And I just felt there wasn't enough time taken over that, in my opinion. But it's a difficult one, because I think there's maybe 3 or 4 angles where, if I'm being really honest, can you tell if it's hit his hand or not? Probably not. However, I think there is one where I think it looks like it hits his chest, or he's certainly, you know what I mean?
It rolls up his stomach a bit, doesn't it?
And to me, it isn't handball. So
I think it's very unfortunate. Like.
Yeah. So that's where it's then gone with the on-field decision, because VAR are saying that they can't tell one way or the other, which is obviously the new ruling that's now in. Go with that decision that's been made.
Umpire's call.
So if the ref had given the goal, it would have stood, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Because they can't then say, well, it's definitely handball, because they can't make their mind up. Yeah. It's just interesting. I mean, obviously we made reference to it during the game when we're doing the watch along, that you don't see the angle of the referee's decision. He gets cut out of the shot and stuff like that to see whether he signals towards his arm, because that's normally the clear thing from a referee as to why he's disallowing it if it's for handball rather than a challenge.
There's one player
immediately runs away, like giving it.
That's the midfield guy, innit, with the
one who got sent off.
The hairs.
No, it was on the hair.
The little blonde bits in the.
His name now,
but Alcazar, was that him? No. Never mind.
But I think the annoyance thing is that I felt during the game that goal was coming. I felt it was coming.
Yeah.
And we got it, and it was taken away from you. And I think we'll get on to Joelinton's performance, I think, so I've got a few things I want to say about that later on. But yeah, but it was unfortunate. But I think going in 0-0, you were disappointed. But I think in reflection, I think you said it while we went. We probably were talking, but was that okay? It's 0-0. That's fine. Like it's kind of, I would take 0-0. Do you know what I mean? And we were still the better team by far. However, the second half, well.
Yeah, things changed in
I think they changed massively.
Yeah, so the change came about because Southampton made a number of changes.
Yeah.
Obviously, Armstrong was the first one that came on, and he straight away was very involved, diving out to the right hand side.
He came on early because someone got injured, didn't he? Was that when he?
It was on? The guy who went off with concussion when
Nick Pope
came and cleared him out. Which I was a bit.
Nah, not at all. It's a great. There's nothing at all wrong with that.
He clearly comes out, gets the ball and heads it clear, but it's just the shock of seeing that giant come flying through you, isn't it?
I think if a centre half done it, I'm not so sure if it would.
No, definitely. I've got no. There's not a Not for a second.
He looked huge, didn't he?
Aye. I think it was only a little lad that he went, but he didn't have. The lad looked, bless him, he was like bull.
He was definitely Olivia Bernarded.
Yeah, he was.
That was
didn't look
literally the
like.
Angels of the North just coming at you. That like he looked
flattened him.
huge.
But perfectly fine.
Yeah, so skip to the second half up there after the changes. Obviously, Armstrong, who we've just spoke about.
Yep.
They were the better team. Let's be fair. I wouldn't say we're on the ropes. I think that's a bit to the other side, but I just felt we were losing every 50-50. You know what I mean? I felt every bounce was going to them.
It was working for them, wasn't it?
It was, and I felt, and I think I complained a lot, was we were going back to front too quick. We weren't building it up. We were just going long, and I felt that was causing our own problems. We were a bit ragged. We were a bit maybe perhaps nervous. I'm not sure, but certainly the change of formation and the change of personnel really helped Southampton because they were the better team for long part.
Yeah, well, they brought Che Adams on as well up front, and then they brought the lad out on the left hand side as well. That made a bit of impact.
Yeah. Hi, the lad on the left hand side. I apologise, I don't know his name, but the lad on the left hand side had a bit funny hair. I thought he was causing Trippier big problems.
Yeah,
big problems.
He
got booked, didn't he? Yeah, he did. And I thought Che Adams. But this is when Pope made some good saves, some really good saves in the second half.
Some good saves, but there's a couple of times as well where he's just held on the ball. The ball's come in, and he's come out, caught it, and that's my ball. That's Newcastle.
He's
ball
just tremendous, isn't he?
He's brilliant. He's a really good goalkeeper. Really he's better than I'd give him credit for, even earlier this season. But I've been seriously impressed with him. Yeah. Made a great save actually, just after the disallowed goal as well. I haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
When they've had the shot and it's kind of swerved to his
right,
in the air,
managed to
get a fist behind it and just
clear away. You're right, because his body. You're right, absolutely right, because his body's nowhere near behind the ball.
His momentum's gone, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
It's great. It's a really good save. And it's bounced as well, wet floor and all that. It's a superb save, that.
Yeah, it was.
There's lots and lots of comments in the chat around praise for Mr. Pope.
Yeah, superb. Great
Bruno on Sky came out and said that he thinks he's the best keeper in the world. And obviously he plays for Brazil with Edison and Alisson. So that's quite the...
It's high praise,
quite the critique, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's just a nice moment, isn't it? I think it's lovely. You know, it's just Bruno's that, isn't he? Bruno is that. Oh, what's this?
They seem to be having a bit of a bromance, those two.
It's nice to see, isn't it?
Yeah. He's fully all the credit in the world. I mean, I said this off air, and we've said it before, to be fair, on the show. But like off air when we weren't recording, I had said like it's mad to think that we sat here and said, you know, what areas would you improve as a team, and goalkeeper never really come up. You know, some people might have mentioned it. I said, "What are you talking about? Dubravka's fine. We're all right." And it's not until you see a really top class goalkeeper when you realise, Jesus, actually that position we did need to strengthen that area. And of course, Howe has noticed that and has done that. And there's just no question that like we've got all these clean sheets that we have. Yeah. We wouldn't have had them with Dubravka and goal. No. Same back four. Give us the same back four. We would not have had the clean sheets.
He's a better, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, you look at. I'm not throwing this at Dubravka's end. I'm really not. But you look at the Chef Wed game.
Yeah.
Which is leaking goals for fun. I mean, we got beaten, and it realises how good Pope is. And I was mentioning to you about his starting position. There's a few times where they'll play a ball over the top because we're not the fastest at the back. Like we're not. Botman and Shea aren't quick.
No,
not quick. Burns not quick either. We're not quick. And there's a lot of times where teams will put the ball in behind and put Pope is there. Yeah. His starting position's always spot on as well.
Yeah, he reads the game really well.
Does. He's a fantastic goalkeeper.
Absolutely. You kind of fault him for what he's done. Bestie was seeing some tremendous stats at the end of the game as well for him.
Yeah.
10 games.
901 minutes.
I didn't quite work that one out.
It was lovely. 10 games, 10 clean sheets, 20 shots faced, 20 saves. It was just a lovely symmetry to it. I don't know where that extra minutes come from, but we'll give them that.
Or the fact that we've only played 1 minute injury time.
Aye.
Strange one. When Newcastle are renowned for obviously time wasting and stuff like that, and
that must never happen before, right? I mean, this record, these minutes and stats and clean sheet, that can't have happened before for us. Surely not.
I can't remember a time when it has. Like,
I can't either. Like.
We've notoriously, and I think a little bit unfairly, but like go back to the years of lads, Shearer and Ferdinand, their days, 95, 97. The defence was always seen to be our weakest, where it wasn't really, but it was still conceded goals, like whereas now, it was just we conceded 11 goals in the league this season.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's outstanding. I mean, it's only halfway through the season, so there's a long way to go and all that. And we are going to concede another goal at some point.
Oh yeah.
But it's just nice thinking.
Maybe next season.
We haven't conceded a league goal since October.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
World Cup and all that happened and all that. But like normally we're looking thinking we could have conceded like 5 goals in 20 minutes. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it was just a proper unit, a proper outfit. We're a serious team now, Newcastle. Like it's great.
And I think, you know what it is, I think, you see these stats on paper, I see them on Twitter, a lot lovely things about, haven't conceded a goal since X. It's still quite hard to get your head around it, isn't it, though? You know what I mean? That we do not concede goals. It's like, because we don't. Like, you know what I mean? And I still find it quite unbelievable that, because I agree that even the best of times, and I'll always go back to me dad, Kevin Keegan, that like, for me, them are the days.
Yeah.
There always will be, even though these days are amazing. They are. For me, growing up, being a child, as Kevin Keegan was the best, them days were the best. But we conceded a lot of goals.
Yeah.
We conceded a lot of goals. And even under Bobby Robson, God bless him, loved him, we conceded goals under Bobby Robson. But, I mean, and what's really laughable is Howe was always questions, the guy who can't get a team to defend.
Yeah,
that was
right.
always kind of this thing thrown at him. And obviously...
Well, we figured out where the extra minute come from.
All right.
On Nick Pope. So Key and also Blackbird Shed Bewdley has filled us in. And it makes sense now, perfectly. Southampton scored in the 89th minute in the 11th game.
Oh.
So he hasn't.
Oh,
he
yeah,
didn't,
of course.
didn't
Yeah.
save
Yeah,
that one minute there. So that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Does.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. That's why we've got
The
wonderful viewers.
The 4-1, yeah.
Wonderful viewers that like to send us lovely comments and questions. So if you do have any questions, get them in the chat there for us. And if you haven't already done so, do give the video a like. It does help us massively. So we've already talked about game changers for Southampton.
This is going to hurt you here.
Game changers for Newcastle United. Obviously, Jacob Murphy came. Isaac came on. We spoke about the impact that he had.
He did.
With the little touch for the goal.
Yep.
Just run us through that again, Bestie.
Well, so he picks the ball up and he kind of draws the full back in as if to kind of, he's just going to hold the ball up. And then just at the right time, shifts it with his right foot and he's gone. And the lad, bless him, he'll be having nightmares about that. Like, it's like Neil Madison and Ginola all over again in 95 because he's gone. Yeah. And everything about it, the kind of the drive towards the byline, the ball back across is perfect. And Joelinton's run in the box, is timed perfectly, and Saint-Maximin's taking the other bloke away, and it's weird to think a bloke running to the byline, drilling the ball in, and then Newcastle scoring from like 2 yards in feels like a really good goal, but it was excellent. It was kind of going back early on. It's kind of what we've been missing a bit. Is that level of service? Although they mentioned Longstaff putting a similar-ish ball into the box early on in the game, very early on in the game, actually 3 minutes 16 seconds. I think
it was 3:16. Yeah. What? This is a few things I have to say. I do apologise. I've had a drink, I know, but so right. The amount of times, certainly I'll talk about the Palace game, even the Fulham game to be fair, where we've getting in, where Isak was when he turned that defender so well, as you say, goes left and then goes to the right. We get in that area and we hit the first man, or perhaps we overhit the cross or whatever it may be. Isak's ball in was tremendous.
It was excellent.
It was tremendous. And this is where I'm going to flip this to Joelinton. Now, I got Joelinton in the first half, scores from the same area, given handball, right? Fuck. Then in the second half, in the same area, Blazers without any question. Let's just call a spade a spade. It was the worst ever finish.
It wasn't as bad as Chris Wood at Sheffield Wednesday.
It really was. It really was. It really, really was.
It was
right?
poor, but it wasn't as bad as Chris Wood's. For me.
It wasn't as bad as Chris Wood's?
Nah, it wasn't as bad as Chris Wood's.
Whoa, what? Joelinton's open goal from 5 yards out?
5 yards? How long's your tape measure?
How many?
Which one? The one...
I'm on about the one that flashed across. He had open goal. It was the second half. It was literally an open goal. He's in the 6 yard area. And he plays it over. Joelinton tonight.
That was bad. I'm still not.
Chris Wood still had the keeper debate.
I'm still not.
He's literally said the goalkeeper.
Chris Wood levels.
You could have put 3 goalposts, sets of goalposts on top of each other, and Wood still wouldn't have hit them.
Aye, maybe.
It's a shocking effort. And I'm not going to sit here because I do like Chris Wood. That was an awful effort.
I don't like
wasn't
Chris
as bad as
Wood,
that for me.
But anyway, listen.
That's not the point.
I'll go back to Joelinton. So, the first goal, Bang scores a handball, of course, which we're not sure how it was. Is someone saying Chris Wood's is worse than that?
No. Jules has just created a hashtag, men's measurements.
Oh, right, okay. Well, The other one that flashed across in the second half, for me, he's in the almost in the 6-yard box. Gets his left foot of it and it goes over. He had a totally open goal, right? That many people would have been crippled by that, right? Because it's a huge moment in the game.
Massive.
And for him, this is why I give him so much credit. For him to get in that area again.
Yeah.
So you got Isak breaking, loads of players. God, even I might have. I've missed two, I've missed a sitter. Do I really want to be that person again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. He gets in the middle and finishes it off. And I know it's an easy goal, but for him to get in that area, honestly, I just feel he deserves immense credit for that.
I thought he was excellent tonight for all that chance that he missed. It was a shock, I don't get us wrong, like that, the one he put over the top. But I thought, again, similar again to the Hillsborough, the Sheff Wednesday game, getting the ball in the middle of the park and just driving forward with it, like just relentlessly. It must be horrible to play because he's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's intelligent, but he just progresses play all the time. He breaks play up, but foot on the ball, centre circle, have a look, right, he's going forward. And you think, God, he must be exhausting to play against.
He's
unbelievable. He's running like that. He runs it in the 90th minute, the same as he does in the first.
Yeah.
With the same intent, the same kind of...
aggression.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just... and we've kind of taken... We were sitting there tonight during the game saying, oh, well, Pope's played really well, Shea's been excellent, Miggy, this, that, and that, and Joelinton didn't get mentioned because that's just what Joelinton does now.
He could have had a hat-trick, you know.
Oh, aye.
Technically, really, in a way, could have had a hat-trick because the handball probably isn't.
Yeah.
Probably should have scored. He should have scored the second.
He had 2 good chances.
He did, yeah, he should.
Yeah. But I totally agree with you that one of the most impressive things I find, of course, his engine. I've always said about his engine. I think he's just, for a guy his size, shouldn't be able to cover that much ground. That's just my opinion. But his consistency on the ball in tight areas in terms of holding the ball, holding people off, finding another man.
Yeah.
They're invaluable. They're invaluable. He's so good.
He's probably the most important player that we've got at the minute.
Yeah, I probably agree.
You could have Pope's an argument, Botman, Shea, Trippier, but Joelinton's up there. Like
it's difficult when you name names like that. Yeah. I suppose everyone's important. They all are important, but I know in certain moments you feel there's nobody more important than him.
Yeah.
At times, I get that. Now, go on then, Mark. Sorry, because I'm going to say you mentioned about the subs. You mentioned the subs, right? So we're going to go on your favourites.
Yeah, let's get on to the other subs.
On.
Jacob Murphy.
Like, you know what it is, right? Listen,
there we go. Buckle yourselves in.
No, I don't want to come across like that because I know I'm his biggest defender and I love him. I just love him. I do. But I have said on the match preview, and I think I said after the Palace game that we're going through this stage where we are 100% dominant games, but we're playing very well, but we're just lacking that bit of spark. You know what I mean? That perhaps creativity. Now, of course, Isak gave with that moment of brilliance, and that was it. But I still, I really, really feel that in moments in that game there, especially, that there was the odd moment where I thought Maxi really gave with that.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, man, there's some ways that he collects a ball and manages to move with the ball that just people can't do. They just can't do. And I don't believe there's many players in the league, and this might sound really far-fetched, would have getting him sent off there. The way he collected the ball, beat one man, and then went past the other one to get him sent off. I don't think there's many people in the league could do that.
Drives forward with it. That moment for me, when he got fouled and they felt like he second yard, that was the most Saint-Maximin thing we've seen since the Man City game.
Yeah,
the most what I would consider to be where he's picked the ball up a bit deeper, he's beaten a man, kind of cutting inside, and he's right, I'm going to go for goal here.
Yeah.
And if he beats his man, who knows what happens next? But he gets taken down, and he's so important for that. He's really, really good at that. And I thought he was very good when he came on tonight. But again, we were talking during the game, he kind of came on and Walker Peters had been pressed quite far forward at that point. There was a lot of space in behind, and that's where I think if he's got bodies, he's fair enough, he can beat 2 or 3 men, and he quite handily, and he does it quite often. But I think if he's got a sea of bodies ahead of him, like a tight, compact, like what Southampton weren't tonight for the most part, they got bodies back well, but they didn't just sit. You know, they've got blokes forward. He's so good at exploiting that space in behind.
100%.
Whereas I think where he struggles a bit more is when and we've seen him when he comes on, he hasn't quite been as effective at times because he's got bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. But it's like, I've got to try and find a pass here. We've mentioned how like Wilson struggles to kind of pick the ball up in the box sometimes because there's just so many blokes around him.
Yeah.
And Isak as well, that goal when he beat the man, when he's probably about 30, 35 yards out if memory serves, when he gets a ball and there's no one else there. He's just got the byline to run to.
Yeah.
10 minutes into a game, if he does that, he's probably got a left back, he's got a couple of centre-half sitting deep. It's a different thing. Like, you know, for the time of game, it was perfect.
It was, and to be fair, yeah, Mark said this and I disagreed. You had said about him being an impact sub, didn't you? You said this.
Yeah, I've got a comment on the screen there. Jay's said the same. Is he more effective as against tired legs? And it is something I've spoken about. About using him as that impact, because that's when he's good. Is when he's able to run at defenders and cause them issues. And
I really think it was very good tonight when he came on. Like it worked very well.
And this is where I really get upset, to be honest with you, and quite angry actually, is when a lot of conversations I have with people seem to be desperate to sell him. Oh well, maybe we should sell him.
Been linked with Milan today, apparently.
My mind boggles to me. You've got one of the most exciting. Man. There was moments in that game there where he's collecting the ball and being able to beat a player. There's nobody else can do that. And listen, I'm certainly not saying Maxi would be happy to sit on the bench every week, by the way. And in fairness here, and I'm going to stick up for him here. I always will. But I'm going to stick up for him here. He's been on the bench for an awful long time now, right?
Most of the season.
I personally haven't heard of any real rumbles of unhappiness. He certainly hasn't come on the field and looked unhappy or in a huff.
Yeah.
I feel when he's come on the field, he's tried his best and he's doing what he can do. And I feel he deserves a lot of credit for that, because if we go back 12 months, or perhaps, maybe a bit further, he was our man.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And now all of a sudden he is not. Listen, I have to hold my hands up, he's not, right? And that has to be hard for someone like him, I think, to deal with, in terms of his ego, in terms of what he thinks he can do. Christ, if I was as talented as him, I'd be sitting going, I should be on that field, like.
Yeah.
That's how I would feel. And I can't blame him. I can't blame him. Sorry if he felt that way. But I must admit, when he comes on the field, given it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, I can't say he's not trying. Like, and today I feel when he came off the bench, he made a difference, and I'm so happy for him. I really am.
See, I think that point that you make there would show a lot about his mentality around if he start kind of goes a bit huffy or something like that, starts throwing his toys out of the pram, whereas, as you're saying, he seems to be, because we have seen it from him in the past, but he seems to be almost accepting of the part that he's playing at the moment, probably because he can look at that team and see that they're doing well without him in it, and that there's maybe he isn't that only option and the be all and end all that we've had in the previous seasons.
Some of the stuff he said over the Christmas video when he says, "Get ready, you're not ready for what's coming next," and all that. I think he's totally bought into what Newcastle are trying to do here, what Eddie Howe's trying to do, and I think his professionalism is quite often done dirty. So I honestly think that he's doing what he can to make himself fit, and I'm looking forward to seeing if he gets a bit more time. And it's hard to say, because then you think, well, who do you drop from him? I know he came on for Willock today, and Willock was good, but then he had those two chances. You think there was a couple of moments where Willock and I kind of didn't do what you'd hope he'd do. But it's disturbing, that team, and we've picked the same team again for I don't know how many games in a row now.
Yeah.
Howe's picked that same 11. But Saint-Maximin's definitely got something more to give, I think. Like,
I
not that he's holding back. I think there's something more to give, as in he's going to be I hope, and I've got a feeling that he's going to be a big player for us for a little while yet. Like,
I really think so. And I think I also want to reference here about, in terms of his attitude, in terms of how he's handling this, I think Howe deserves a lot of credit here as well, because I feel it cannot be easy. It just can't be. It just can't be. You can't be naming a team every single week and he's not part of it.
Yeah. That
can't be easy to manage, because surely Maxi's got to, he's going to have the huff the odd time, but Howe is obviously managing that correctly.
Yeah.
And massive credit there, because there has to be something. Howe has to be doing a really good job there to go, listen, I understand I'm not picking you, doesn't mean I don't believe in you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's very good man management. It must be going on.
When Saint-Maximin's gone from being the main man
100%.
to being a bit more kind of peripheral over the past year.
Yeah.
Very injuries and stuff like that. Like, but it's kind of that's got to be managed.
100%.
You know, 100%. I think, and apparently Howe's doing a superb job in that regard as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, can we just take a moment just to appreciate Eddie Howe and the job that he is doing?
Yeah.
The way that he's drilled the team, the clean sheets. We've got 12 clean sheets so far this season. You wouldn't have seen that previously happen. He's got the team working hard for each other, backing each other up, fighting for causes.
I'd be interested to know how many clean sheets the previous manager had in the whole of his
career.
Well, Newcastle management career, certainly, yeah.
Well,
Get in the comments and tell us. Somebody will know.
We'll be approaching that now, surely.
I had checked a few stats, and I think I could be wrong here, but I was honestly looking, and I think one of the better years was something like we had 14 in a season, or perhaps sometimes we only had 9 in a season, and we've beat that already. And I think maybe our best was something like 14 clean sheets, and I think we'll probably beat that already. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. But no, listen, like how is? I think we've spoke about this before, and I'm certainly one of these people where when it flashes up that the press conference is available to watch.
Yeah, it's me.
It's just that's it. I mean, you know.
I
what
did
I mean?
yesterday. I was at work. I was on a break, lunch break, headphones in. That's me.
He's
Cup of tea.
He's just an amazing bloke. There's no question about it. And I think we've spoke about this before, where football can be brutal, right? It can be brutal. Where I'll flip it quickly. It's the first name that came to mind. It's a first name, so I apologise if it offends anyone. But David Moyes at West Ham. David Moyes at West Ham had been or was doing fantastically well. European football, getting them. You know, West Ham were back apparently. Struggling now.
Oh yeah, big style.
And I just feel that I'm not saying it'll be as drastic as that, but there will come a time where we're going to go through it. I just feel there's going to be a time where everything's amazing at the moment, but there'll be a time where we're going to really find it hard. And I really hope the club, the fans, everyone stands by him. I just hope we stand by him and believe in him.
He certainly earned a lot of leeway. I think. Well, you mentioned West Ham there. Like that's very fair. They were 4th or 5th this time last year. Southampton were 2 years ago. Jesus. And they're bottom at the minute. So I'm not saying that that's the portent of that's what Newcastle are going to be in 12 months time. But there's kind of warning signs there that it's not easy to sustain. I think we are coming from a different place than West Ham and Southampton were. I think West Ham are probably a bit more similar because they've got because they're West Ham, they've got this super duper stadium in Stratford, London, and they're still playing European football. They've got players like Bowen there, and they've got a good side, Declan Rice,
brilliant player.
And they're still spending money in that. I think maybe it's cautionary rather than else, just to say, well, we're doing really well at the minute. I think we are more likely to sustain it than West Ham and Southampton have done. But
do you think that because of investment?
Yes, I think so. I think the people who've got behind the scenes as well, with Ashworth, with Darren Eales, with Murdad, Amanda and Ruben seem to have kind of surrounded themselves with or got people on the football side of things who are very, very good at what they do and who are good at looking at a long-term thing. Look at what Brighton, even without Ashworth, without Potter, Brighton are still, because they were that well built, the foundations were that strong, they are still a good side. They've just sold Trossard to Arsenal. They've got the players coming through now that'll probably be going for 60-70 million pounds in 2-3 years' time. Yeah,
that's a difficult game. That's a difficult game to play, isn't it?
And
Southampton were there with Lallana, Chamberlain,
about 10-15 years.
And it's hard, isn't it? It's hard when you. And in fairness to us, we are not that. We are not the team. Sorry, that is going to sell our assets and our better players. We are, of course, on the rise. But I think in terms of how, listen. For a joke, didn't I? I used to always put that stupid photo in when Bruce was getting hammered, and it was the Bournemouth photo.
Beautiful photo
with the doctored badge. I doctored the badge, and I says, just get him in on Monday. And I used to just joke on. Even I never expected this. Jesus Lord, I don't think Howe expected this.
Nah,
do you know what I mean?
It's been a phenomenal year.
And for one man, this is why I feel very much the Keegan feeling is that where one guy can almost lift an entire city on his shoulders. That's how it feels. Do you know what I mean? And just. Listen, has this club ever been so united as it is at the minute? Probably maybe the Keegan era, maybe. But
you got to go back to Keegan and Robson.
Maybe Sir Bobby. Sir Bobby had a similar thing. He really did. He had that personality, the charisma.
God bless him, man.
And the ability as well.
You've almost got the best of both of those blokes rolled into one with Eddie Howe, haven't you?
Well, he's had a very good first year. Let's not.
It couldn't get much any better, really, could it? You've got the prospect of a final. You've got a prospect of a final, but
it could.
In the fucking Premier League.
It could. As we said, we're halfway in this tie.
Yeah.
1-0 up. A week off, a week of rest, where Southampton have got a tough game at the weekend in the FA Cup.
Blackpool, isn't it?
It'll be interesting to see what they do in that one. Whether they, have half an eye on Tuesday, but. That's it. That's the next step for us, lads.
You would expect
next Tuesday night.
You expect Southampton are going to prioritise a semi-final second leg with only one goal to overturn ahead of the FA Cup fourth round, like the position they're in.
Yeah, I think that's what their manager will be saying. I mean, obviously, it's how we look at two things, isn't it? Their side will probably go, it's only 1-0. It's only one goal.
They'll be happy with how they played tonight as well. 'Cause they played well.
Yeah. Their manager will be saying, we hurt them for a good half an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They'll be probably quite cross. I've not seen any reaction yet, but
Yeah.
the goal that got disallowed, I think it was right that it was disallowed, but it's very unfortunate. It seemed like that was the first half.
It's more obvious than
I think it's
bad.
right.
Yeah.
If current rules,
I just don't think it's handball. If I'm honest with you, I don't. I have to be honest. Like, I appreciate it hits his hand. I'm not saying it absolutely hits Armstrong's hand, but that's not handball. He hasn't intentionally. He doesn't even have the balls there, man.
He hasn't, but he's punched. He's punched the
It
ball.
does. It takes a change of direction, doesn't it? So that's
but
what they're looking
I know
at.
what you mean, like, but it's very unfortunate. And they'll be thinking, well, we were that away from a draw, going to St James's Park. And, you know that Southampton aren't out of this tie yet.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No way.
Still all to play for. Still all to play for, and yeah, we'll be back with a preview of that Southampton game probably over the weekend ahead of Tuesday. And that's it. 90 minutes potentially from our first final in a long, long time. But let's not count our chickens yet. We have got 500 people watching this live stream at the moment. So if you could all do us a favour and like the video, it does really help out the channel. We're very, very close to 10,000 subscribers as well. Subscribers. So if you don't already subscribe, hit that button as well. Get us over that magic line. I'm getting me members and me subscribers mixed up here. So, but yeah, almost there. On to Tuesday. But Decker, you've got the final word on this one.
The final world.
We won, you know. Get in, man. We're there. We're gone, man. We're gone. Tell your ma, you know.